Everyone, pardon me. Me and Paula don't get along. Welcome. I call the Holiday Island Suburban Improvement District Board of Commissioners to order. And let's stand and pledge allegiance to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Secretary,
Yes.
would you call the roll, please, sir?
Commissioner Surratt. Here. Commissioner Stamps.
Here?
Commissioner Brown.
Here.
Commissioner Ralph. Here. Commissioner Pinkley here.
I declare that we have a quorum. We have the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to review it?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make an amendment to our agenda.
Please.
I'd like to make an amendment to interview Tory James in the second half of our executive session and move item number 4 till after the executive session. Number 4 is right here. This right here. Yeah. Down the bottom. Okay.
Do I hear a second? Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion, we have readjusted it. Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
As amended? Okay. Any
I'll second that.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, have we seen the minutes for the March 25th meeting?
So moved.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Ceremonial, there's none that I know of.
One announcement, Mr. Chair.
Yes?
I'd like to honor and make a notice of one of our employees who's worked here 19 years and done an excellent job, Helen Petaway. Those of you who go to the golf course and go up to the restaurant know Helen. Very, very nice person, very efficient. She's worked here, as I said, 19 years and retired about a week ago. So if you see Helen, thank her for her service. She was in the morning shift usually, and like today, there's old coots up there. There'll probably be 15, 20 fellows that are registering for the golf and ordering breakfast. So she's going, all over the place. But I think we need, Rich, those that retire and give service like Helen did, we ought to, in the future, do something a little bit special. But she's up there. She visits every once in a while. So if you see her, thank her for her service. Thank you.
Okay. Any other announcements?
I would like to say something, please.
Okay.
I just want to take a minute to thank Jack Deaton, Ed Clark, Gary Kapsick, and Fred Neely for their hard work on the cart paths on the 18-hole golf course. With funding from HIMGA, the Holiday Island Men's Golf Association, they've been cold patching the rough areas where the old cart paths needed some repair work, and it's made the ride a lot smoother. Hasn't done much for my score, but the ride's a lot better. So we owe our thanks to, and it's an example of what our volunteers do in every aspect of Holiday Island.
Very good. Thank you. Is there any public comments? I've got a list here, and I've got 2 maybes, and do I hear any public comments? Later on? Okay. Reports. I don't have any reports. I think. Still working on reports. First of all, I guess the first thing we need to do is introduce Mr. Rich here. My goodness, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Little behind times here.
Seems like we've been together forever.
I have that effect on people. But anyway, welcome, Rich. We're glad to have you here and look forward to working with you. Okay, action items. There's no old business, new business. We've got the March financials. I haven't had a chance to look them over, but anyway, I'm sure they're,
I move that we receive and approve the March financials.
I'll second it with some comments, if I can.
comments. Go ahead.
Goes without saying.
Mr. Chair, I want to thank Jennifer Head, our CPA, for this new method of reporting the financials. It is really a lot better than it's been, and you can see which department is spending a little more, if we have to adjust. Do we need a budget more for that department next year, where it was hard to see the way it was done before. So, but I have a couple of questions, and I don't know, Rich, if you probably won't be able to answer them, just being here 5 days, but maybe somebody else can, maybe somebody in the office. But we have, one of the things on the, is other income from the tower rental. There's anywhere between $200 and $700 for tower rental. Is that some companies that are still giving rental money for the tower, but we sold the land? Do you understand what that is? Microphone.
I believe according to Kerry, that is for the antennas on the water tower,
Oh, water tower, okay.
so that's what that is.
Okay, thank you. I forgot about that. Up by the hill, okay. The other one is the total cost. She has it broken down, which I really appreciate. The rec center total bill so far, still counting, $857,000. $857,000. Now that includes the $106,000 for tear down and takeaway and so forth, and the architect's fee and so forth. But the contract with Johnson Construction was $573. So we went from $573 to $857. I'm hoping the grand opening is going to be held soon, so this total just does not keep going up and up. There was one thing on the financials, Janice, that said motion lights. And wouldn't those, and we're reimbursing you for motion lights in the new building, wouldn't that have been part of the construction contract?
Should have been.
Okay.
We, there needs to, and this is Larry Stamp's opinion. Number one, I think we need to have a long, hard look at what was in the plans and what it has had to be added to the plans because of the deficiencies in the plans. I was told by the construction superintendent up there that the set of plans that he ended up with was the 12th set. I think it's about time that we tested architects' errors and omission insurance.
I agree, Mr. Chair. There's one in here, $1,800 that we had to pay Johnson Construction. They had a restroom and they had a sink in the restroom, and they put a window right there, okay? We had to pay $1,800 to move that window over a few feet and put a mirror there. That's not Johnson's fault. That's not HICID's fault. That's the architects. So, you know, I don't want to go on, but I agree with the chair that there were many errors there and many omissions that we ended up paying for, and we shouldn't. You shouldn't. You're the taxpayer. You shouldn't, and I shouldn't pay for it. But I think we'll dwell into that later.
There's a lot of operations that need to be audited. And anyway, we'll get into that later. Okay. I have a motion.
No, I did have one item I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
I'm sorry, got way late. I see that we had a big CD maturing on March 28th. 600 and, I don't know, 709 is the current balance, almost $710,000. Has that been put out for the bid, Rich? Have we done anything to roll that over? Okay, that's something that then would go into our money market account, but we need to see about getting that money reinvested. And once we get you on the banking system, that means, and get you, have you met the bankers? Yes. Good, good, but that is something that we need to keep on top of, what they are, is to get that reinvested. Sorry. I'm not sure, yeah, that was at Cornerstone, so that would just go into our money market fund.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the financials. Is there a second?
That CD was already
I'm
taken
sorry?
care of. That CD was already taken care of. Y'all all signed that with CSA.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Amen, brother.
Accepting.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on the financials? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, they're approved. Consideration action on regulation 2024-003. That motion is that, the amount that the general manager has approval to do in an emergency situation. Has anybody had a chance to read that through? We changing the amount from $35,000 to $15,000 for the district manager to have approval power to approve.
Chair, I'd move that we have discussion and possible approval of this regulation.
Okay, now that we've got a motion to approve and a motion second. Any further discussion?
I think we've talked about this a little bit before when we started into this item, but I think the board commissioners are elected and have a fiduciary interest in some of the things I just brought up about the rec center and so forth. And when you're getting up to 35,000, as I said last week, you get 3 of those, you're at 100,000. That's a lot of money. And I don't think there's many times that we would have to meet for a special meeting, but I would rather have that than not knowing where some of these big purchases are going. And I think Rich will be a very good keeper of the funds and very careful. I know in interviewing him and talking to him, we've got a good keeper of the funds here as district manager, but the board should be involved in some of these big purchases, and we'd like to do that.
I'd like to say something. I think the taxpayers, we owe it to the taxpayers to limit that to between $10,000 and $15,000, and that would be it. And then if we're going to do any higher, we have a special board meeting.
Any further discussion? I've got a motion to approve and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then that regulation is passed. Okay, consideration of action on to amend the amenity fees and to add punch cards for 9 holes of golf. Now, that doesn't mean the 9-hole course. That means the 18-hole course as well. In other words, if you're going to play 18 holes of golf, your card gets punched twice. Okay?
Which, based on the current price, if you did that, you'd be paying more than the daily fee.
Yes.
So it'd be, counterproductive to take 2 punches for $30 when you could pay for golf and be less than that. So it's effectively good for the 9-hole.
Uh-huh.
And it's for residents only.
Yes, it is. Well, property owners only.
Correct.
And this is just for the 9 holes you're talking about? The 9
Yes.
hole, not for the 18?
If you use it on the 18, you pay 2 punches, which is cost you more than if you just paid the daily fee.
I know, but why don't we just bring down that fee and then just be one fee for if you play 9 or 18, it don't make any difference. Why not do that? Wouldn't that be more simple?
In the past, it's been, if you played 9 at the 18, it was that punch. It used to be 10 for $100. But, and then at the 9 hole, it's 9 holes only, because that's what the course is. You'd be doing 9 holes, one punch. But if you want to play 18, I think the way that it was thought that you should pay the 18-hole fee. And some people in the leagues pay 18, some people pay 9. But this is for, Randy, what you were saying, 9 and dine members, people that don't play that often. They don't want to spend $900, which is a single fee for me if I want to go up. I haven't been up there yet to pay it, but I tend to. They don't want to pay $900. They might only go out with you for 4 or 5 times, you know. So they would, and a lot of, so it's available. What I thought when it came up was it gives the people that want to play and don't play that often, maybe are beginners, to get in there for less than $900 or $1,500. $1,500 is the fee for the family right now. When the consultant was here a couple of years ago, he recommended raise the fees, so we did. So it went from $750 for a single player to $900, and it went to $1,500 for a family. And it stayed that way now for, I think, 2 years. So this is a way to increase play, increase the opportunity for people that don't play often, not to have to outlay a bunch of money, but it also will have some extra income coming in, I believe, for those that can't afford or don't want to pay that much for a season pass.
Properly, you should wait until the commissioner discussion is
Microphone,
completed.
but I don't know.
But, and then the chair will call on you for your comments. That's keeping us in the proper order of business.
Thank you.
Yeah, but thank you, Sandra. But we appreciate your comments, but we'll get them in the right time. I am adamantly opposed to this. My feeling is we are concerned about our revenue, and if you are truly concerned about revenue, you don't give people discounts. I appreciate that there are people who don't golf very often. The other thing that I would mention is that on the 18-hole course, we had, up until the time we got rid of the punch cards, we had a lot of league players who bought punch cards because it was cheaper, and that was really the only time they played was league. But several of those people have gone ahead and bought memberships because the punch cards weren't available. And it made more sense to pay for the season pass than to pay by the round. And again, we all have to choose where we spend our entertainment money. And I simply feel that it's not in the best interest of the district to start discounting things for one group.
The chair, the timeshare units over here, Janice, I'll ask you. I've never understood really what they pay, but don't they get a slip of paper and then they come into the pro shop up there at the 9-hole? And how much does the timeshares pay ISIT for that 9 holes of golf? How much?
Please.
Turn the mic on, if you will.
Okay, if they were a real timeshare owner, pollen too, and they came in, their card has numbers on it. The last 2 numbers on their card designates if it's their week or they're in an off week. They've traded. So we look at the number. Up until this year, as of last December, they had to pay for their golf. No, I'm sorry, they didn't pay for their golf. They just paid for the use of the cart. So if they were in their week, they paid just for the cart, and then we wrote on the card and sent it over to the timeshares, and they reimbursed us. The people coming in did not. They just paid for the seat on the cart. This year, as of December of last year, they've completely changed that. So now whoever comes in with a time card share card that it is their property, If they're in there a week, they're paying our fees, property owner fees, for the golf and for the cart. If they're off, they're paying a guest fee. So it's out of their pocket now because whoever owns those timeshares now has decided they're not paying for it anymore. That's how it's working.
Like, would it be $25? If I come over this afternoon, I don't have any pass whatsoever, and I want to play 9 holes, is it $25 that Ken has to pay?
Are you a guest? You're a guest. You don't live here? Or are you
No,
living
I'm a
here? But
property owner.
then it's $20.
Huh?
20.
$20.
20 for golf, 15 for the cart, so it's $35.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to just put something here about the punch cards too. Before, they sold them up there, and they were sold for 18 holes. I had people bring a punch card down, so when they got there, we punched above the thing. So for 1 hole, they got 2 at the 9 hole. That's how it worked. It wasn't a 9 hole. You didn't pay for 9 holes. They had to pay for the 18 up there. Some carts had a cart attached to it, so they paid for golf and a cart. I don't even know if I ever saw one that just said golf only. I think it was the cart too.
Okay, one last question. So
Mm-hmm.
the guest that's coming from Chicago and is staying at the timeshare, they are paying their fees for golf cart and golf? Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Everything out of their pocket this year.
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
I think we ought to definitely have punch cards, and I think definitely we ought to give those people, try to get those, I think punch cards are meant for one thing, short-term use, and secondly, it helps get those people acquainted with the golf course, and I think that helps get a full membership out of them.
Well,
That's all my comment.
I was taking a look at here at, I had a list of the people that are using the rec center. There's 78 people. And we got almost $1 million invested in a facility and 78 people are using it. That is absolutely pathetic. Something has to be done. Something has to be done.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment about this punch card. First off, it would increase the volume on the 9-hole. Second of all, national statistics prove $1 billion in gift cards goes unclaimed every year. Everyone I've talked to about these punch cards, no one ever uses the full 10. Their wife uses 4 or 5 in a year because they expire December. So they're not transferable to the following year. So whatever they use, and discounting it from $20 down to $12.50, I don't know, we're saving $7.50 is what the people are saving. And I think there's enough volume that will be appreciated. It will more than make up for the $7.50.
Do a test run. Do it this year if you want to install it.
I think we ought to compare what was done before. The revenues that were generated from punch cards when we had it versus what happened when we discontinued it. What happened to the revenue?
I'm not sure that there is a record of who actually used, I don't think the records are good enough from what happened previously.
It was in the budget. They had it in the budget for punch cards.
Yeah, but you walked in and you got your card punched, and I think maybe, then you put that in the computer or did that go in the computer at all as a sale?
Just wanted their name and that they
Had a card, yeah.
If there was nothing that said punch.
Okay, so.
Well, what showed on the budget was how many punch cards were sold. What Janice is referring to is how many were used, which I'm sure is pretty obscure. But we know how many were sold. It's clearly in black and white on the budget.
That's fine, I mean,
If you looked at prior year's budgets, when we had the punch card, it's clearly called out what the revenues were from the sales of punch cards. And then the next year, it's a 0.
that's when people started paying the full freight that wanted to play and joined bought the season passes. I've said my piece on it.
Okay,
I think it's a bad idea.
moving right
And,
along.
No, Ms. Zerby wanted to speak.
We're gonna, we're going to take public comments. Yep. Okay,
Yeah, we had a motion and a second.
motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. Consideration of action submitted on RFPs in the operation of the clubhouse. No, I'm sorry. We
Moved that.
We moved that one. Consideration for action for food and beverage rules at the clubhouse. This has to do with, you cannot bring your cooler full of on the premises up there. Number one, it's a violation of the food and beverage license
State law.
and state law. You're not going to stop bootlegging. Bootlegging is going to happen no matter what we do, but unless we have a ranger. But other than that, it has to do that you don't bring food in, you don't bring your alcoholic beverages or adult recreational beverages to the clubhouse.
Mr. Chair, is there any rules right now concerning food and beverage at the golf course or at the clubhouse?
I think there might be. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, if there's not, then obviously we need this.
We need to do something.
I think he has posted a sign that says no outside food or drinks.
Well, I've also seen a sign up there for a $10 corkage fee if you bring your own wine.
Yeah, that was when they were.
And I don't know if that's even legal.
Yeah,
That's
they-
not legal either.
No, doesn't matter, we're not doing that.
And I've seen people come to supper up there and bring their bottle of wine, and they're all sitting around inside the building with their own bottle of wine.
That's why he established the corkage fee, was to at least get.
Legally,
some-
by the state, I don't think you can do that.
I have not looked into it, I assume.
Well, all the courses I was ever belonged to, if you brought booze onto there, period, you even brought pop on, you would get one warning. After that, you were suspended from playing that year. They only caught you once. The second time, you were off the course. That was it. So I don't,
About the 9 hole of alcohol, no alcohol or food? I know, but about bringing in your own.
I don't have anything put up there for the golf course. For the rec center, no outside food or beverage is allowed in.
Well, it would be only for golf. You wouldn't be drinking down at the pickleball court, so.
You would-
okay.
Sure. Sure you would. And the pool.
I've caught people with alcohol in the pool that I've had to take.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it's not
But-
really with kids.
you don't have a sign up there for that.
There's no alcoholic food or beverage posted in the pool area.
We should have for the whole complex, though, right?
It should be.
Either we're going to enforce, well, I agree with the chair, it's hard to enforce. Unless you have a marshal that goes out and looks in coolers. Did you buy that six-pack up at the pro shop? or
Oh,
should you bring it
I've
in
looked in
yourself?
coolers that come to the rec center. I do look in coolers because they're wheeling in coolers. I mean, we have to stop them and leave them inside, and then they can eat if they bring outside food and beverage. We're not being really nasty about it. There's 2 pergolas there outside of the pool area that we say that's where you have to eat your food. Now, when they buy our snacks or our pop, go ahead and take it outside. That's how we make our revenue from it when they buy our stuff. I will cook hot dogs and have a special on a Saturday, pop, drink, and a, soda for a certain amount. That's also revenue for us. But, when people rent our pavilion, the barn, eventually back the island room, they bring alcohol in. They're having a party. I mean, I don't know if we're not selling it to them, we're not providing it to them, but they will bring in alcohol for parties and weddings, and nobody's ever said they can't.
Well, there's no license on those facilities.
No, there is no,
So
no.
they're not breaking the law by
Right.
doing such.
right.
right,
okay.
if there's no booze, law, if you don't have a license, you're not breaking the law by
You're not
bringing.
breaking the law. No. Sandra, I'm sorry. We have obviously been taking public comments. If you've got something you would like to say, you certainly may.
You've already voted on what I wanted to say.
Okay.
The button on the mic.
I really think that you need to let people comment before you take votes, like you just did. But anyway, I was totally against the punch cards. We had them at one time, it didn't work, it's why they stopped it. And that was just last year or something that they stopped them.
What
But
didn't work
that's
about
mute.
it?
I don't really know all the details, but they had problems with them, and so they quit doing them.
Also to provide revenue, we stopped doing it.
Right, right. And so I just don't know why we're backing up on that, but that's already done. So neither here nor there about the punch cards. That was my point before you voted. I might have something to say along the line a little bit later.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm not sure what we decided on that, but I think we got it posted, and I think we should follow the rules as far as food and beverage are concerned. If the rules are there, I don't think it takes any action to say we enforce the rules that we've got in place.
I think it's a state law,
I think it is too.
so I know it is.
I
If
know
you
it
can't
is.
bring your own booze, you can't go to a bar and you're Rick and bring your own booze in there, you'd be out on your ear. I mean, I think that's something that hasn't been enforced. I guess it used to be kind of enforced. Somebody told me, but when they quit having the clubhouse open during the pandemic, that's kind of when they just let it flow, I guess. That's what I was told. I don't know that. I didn't come here till 2020, and that was just about the time when all this was taking place. And I know the clubhouse was, when we first moved here, you could go, but then after a while, it was all outside. You couldn't go in.
For those of you who don't play golf, what happens is somebody at the Pro Shop Diner, that's what I call it, either goes across to the Fort Apache golf operations, and they fill a cooler, a big one. They bring it back into the restaurant, and if I go in there with a six-pack of 7-Up, I put my ice into my cooler from the big thing that's right going into the restaurant, and then I go out on course. If you put a six-pack of Budweisers in there, we heard from Lauren several times, who's to police that? Are you going to go up on hole number 9 and say, gee, Ralph, Randy, could I look in your cooler? No, we don't have the personnel for that. But either we put the signs up and we try to enforce it, or we don't. I was in Austin a couple of weeks ago, played golf with my son, rode along the course for him. They have a lady come around with a cart, and they sell drinks that way, $8.50 for a beer. Well, we're not going to have that here, but either you're going to put signs up and then sort of say, look the other way, or you're going to enforce it, or let's just forget all about it.
Well, we are in the process of leasing out, I call it the 19th hole. And I think there's going to have some rule, there will need to be some rules made with that operation, and we will determine what that operation may entail. Any further comments about the food and beverage at the clubhouse?
Since we didn't have a motion made, can we just table that for now? Just move to table the discussion?
I think that would be in order.
I move that we table the discussion for food and beverage rules for the clubhouse.
To hear a
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on it? Let's vote on it. All in favor of tabling the consideration of food and beverage rules for the clubhouse? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Relocating the pro shop. We're going to, the pro shop will be placed back where the pro shop was supposed to be. And that'll alleviate a lot of problems there. I don't know what kind of action we need to take to approve the relocation of the pro shop.
Well, I don't think we have, until we have somebody, if we have somebody take it over, I think basically, we just move. I think we can get enough help. I've talked to a lot of the golfers, and they've all agreed that they'll help move that pro shop down there. And it's not gonna cost $150,000, like Lauren said, to move the pro shop.
I think the consideration, I agree with you, Commissioner Pinkley, until we make a decision about the lease, I don't see a reason to move the pro shop downstairs, because we still have the cost of food and beverage department, and we would have the additional cost of someone to be downstairs to check in golfers. We're going to be increasing our wages if we move that out of the same area.
I agree with that. I don't think there's any need to move the pro shop until there's been a decision made on the
lease.
on the restaurant, if we're going to lease it. If we're not going to lease it, why would we move the pro shop? So I think for right now, we ought to just table that until we
We'll
decide.
table that one as well. Is that
Until we
a motion?
decide on the restaurant.
Yeah, until we decide and make a decision on the restaurant. If we make a decision on the restaurant, then we can worry about moving that pro shop.
Did you make the motion, Randy?
Yes, I do.
I'll
Table
second that.
Is that-
Did you get that to table the
Uh,
discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's table 2. Consideration of action for Rich Fagan, signatory authority on all banking transactions.
I'll move that we take that action so he can sign checks.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Nay? None. Passed. Okay. Now, we're going into, executive session. We're going to be discussing regarding Rich's contract and also approval, well, that'll be a secondary.
Toy James, for her interview.
Yes, and we will, let's
I
adjourn.
will have to call her on the phone.
Okay,
I'll have to go out to my car. I didn't bring my phone in. I don't ever bring my phone into a meeting. I don't want it ringing. So I'll go out, when we go to executive session, I will call her and tell her that we will be probably in a short while that she should move this way.
okay. So we're going to adjourn.
I had a question. Are there any other public that wanted to speak, comment?
Steve, do you want to say anything? That's the only other one that I have on my list here. Is anybody else got anything that they would like to add? Yes, ma'am?
Name and address.
Discuss pool amenities or prices. It was with the golf. Amenity fees.
Yes,
It kind of got skipped over and just went straight to the punch card.
well, I think we've got to do something. Something's got to be done. 78 people using the pool, 88 people using the pool is absolutely ridiculous. That's exactly what I've got here as who paid.
You mean the building? Is that what you're talking about, or not?
I was
have
going
more
to
than-
say, exactly what were they using?
I think, Sharon, the amenity fees, they've been out. I mean, the golf fees were due April 1st. That's about 3 weeks ago. $900 for a single and so forth, golf fees and golf trail fees. Those are all, they weren't changed. They weren't changed. They were increased 2 years ago, 20%. So the only one that might change is this 9-hole punch card thing.
Well, that and the use of the pool's got to change.
Oh,
We're,
Well, I was at the pool nearly every afternoon last year, and I'll admit, usage was way down because we had no rec center, nothing, no amenities. People were upset the small pool wasn't open. And so I'll admit, it was down last year, if that's where your numbers are coming from.
it's pathetic.
But
That used to
otherwise-
be the center of this community. It started out that way. It was the rec center. It was the center. It is now, we penalize people. If you have grandchildren that come in and then you pay $5 a day for them to go up and splash in the pool, that's ridiculous. But we're penalizing people to the point that they say, I'm not going to pay that. And we just won't do that. We'll just have fun in Branson and stay away from here. you know, you can say, okay, well, we need the revenue. If they're not using it, you're not going to get any revenue. If they're using it, more and more people, more guests will come with them, and you will get revenue. You get revenue that you're not getting now. We have just absolutely picked on people so much. You know, husband and wife, that's one price. But if you got another person in your family, a child that lives with you, we jack that price up. They don't come. They don't come.
I was actually going to say that my feeling was, I don't know why they changed it last year. Before that, we'd been here 7 years. We've always bought a $200 family pass. That included Joe and I and our kids and grandkids that came to visit.
That's the way it should
And
be.
it went back last year to the $150, and then you had to pay $5 for all your kids and grandkids. And I didn't get that either.
I couldn't agree with you more. First of all, it needs to be at something that people want to use it. It's not a burden, and it's not nitpicking you. It needs to be property owners need a property owner's discount, and they should get one, and it should be for the property owners and for their enjoyment. And if they've got grandkids or they got kids out of town, if they accompany them, they should not be charged.
Well, I want to say, Sandra, you make a very good point about the quality of the amenities ever since the older recreation center building closed before I came on the board. So it's going on being closed 3 years. And of course, you're going to lose interest because you don't have bathrooms handy. You go to the island room to use the restrooms. It just wasn't the pleasant experience. And our new facility is now finished. Janice did a nice job on her write-up in the Holiday Island newsletter. We have a brand-new facility that's going to be exciting. It's going to bring people out, if for nothing else, to come take a look at it and come in and swim. And I don't know the status of getting the small pool ready. That was one of the things that was left to do before our construction is complete. But it's going to be a wonderful facility for everyone who lives here. And as far as, again, last year, the pool revenue was $33,000. Can we afford to give up $33,000 in revenue when we are concerned about our finances?
I don't think you're going to be giving it up. Number one, I think you'll get more money.
Where's it going to come from?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment. You know, I think we've got the money invested in all this stuff, and we're being underused. Maybe we ought to think about moving a different direction, like you're talking, Larry, to get more people to come. You know, we've already got the expense of the building. We've already got the expenses of the pool. We just to get more people there. So maybe we ought to generate more people. That's what we ought to be worried about, you know. And I think if we put a food truck down there, like there's some plans to, I think that was going to help the pool area. I think it'll by a long ways. Those things will all bloom.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment concerning the $300 that we're charging for rental property permits. Prior to this year, first off, we had no idea how many rental properties there were. And now that we do, because they have to be registered, and they will all be registered in about another month, we'll know how many we have total. And the city has on their website the names, address, phone number, everything of every rental property that's registered in Holiday Island. If each one of those off that list got a letter explaining to them the $300, we would see a lot more people at the swimming pool.
Well, when we raised it to the $300, we had lots of people say, I'm not going to pay that. I'm not going to pay that. Then because I'm going to pay $300 to have my guests go down there and pay $5 a head. They're property owners. Those people that own those houses are not any different than you and I. And you can't, I think you're bear hunting with a switch whenever you start saying, okay, that property owner has to pay $300, but you don't have to pay but $100.
My comment is directed strictly at being able to notify these short-term rentals, which we've never been able to do. Prior to when we put this $300 into place, or when it was put in, how were all those people notified?
Whenever
Ms.
they
Murphy,
showed up,
how
I
were those
think.
people notified?
But I think the property owners should pay a property owner's fee. Their guests should pay the guest fee.
I agree with that. I'm just saying we ought to notify all these people based
We do.
on the database that we have now that we've never had before.
But at one time, it got to the point where they said, okay, we're not going to do it, but the motel down here decided to open their pool up to them because it was more economical for them to do that than go to the rec center. Again, I sat through an AHA meeting when they passed around the microphone, and I listened to people that said time after time after time that they came here, they stayed here, they visited Branson, they visited Eureka Springs, and after about the third time, they decided, I'd like to live there. I could live there. And what did we do? We got a resident from it. That's what we've got to do. We've got to make it attractive enough. And if they stay in these bed and breakfasts, that's fine. They're welcome. Welcome them with open arms. But we don't need to penalize the people that own them if we're going to collect money from their guests. Why don't they pay the same as every other property owner? And that way you do not have this one pays this and this one pays this. They're property owners. They all pay the same assessment.
My feeling on that is these people bought these properties with the idea of turning them into a business. They did not buy property to move here. They are making money off of the property they purchased. They're not residents. They are business owners, just like Sunfest and the tattoo guy. And if they are perfectly capable of building a $300 a year fee into their pricing to their customers, you have to keep the right perspective on what these people are doing. If I, as a property owner, would never want to pay $300, but I'm not selling tickets to it.
Well, last year we had 11.
Last year we did, and now we have a great number more. Janice had all the information she needed about who had the nightly rentals.
Yes.
She had that information, and she knew when customers came in if they were part of the nightly rental
Right.
program. So that part of it is not new.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chair,
I'd like
I
to-
have-
Yes, sir.
I've been on this board for a number of years. In the last 2 years, I think we've spent 10 hours on this pool fee stuff, maybe 8, 10, something like that, way too much. We've, as Randy pointed out in a couple of meetings ago, we took in $62,000 for the rec center complex. I think it was last year's budget. We spent $127,000. We're dealing with, okay, that's double what we took in versus what we spent. If you go to Eureka right now, there used to be a place called the Victorian Inn over by Cup of Love, big, huge hotel. When I came here 18 years ago, you could go there, and the other place you could go is the Berryville Rec Center. You pay $5 a piece to go into the pool there. In Eureka, unless your motel has a pool, there is no other place to go. So here we're having people come, and I agree with Phyllis, these people are making money. And Don Howes was in, usually Don is here, and he's the head of, and Lynn Dumas and others, doing a good job of processing these applications for Airbnb. They're making money on it, $200-300 a night. Why shouldn't we give their guests free? Because they're making money. Up
The
to
guests
about
are not gonna
82.
be-
I think it's 82 now.
And our expenses go up.
No, nobody has said anything about their guests being free.
No, it's not free, but I think anybody that's free should be a property owner and their family. We shouldn't be. If I have 4 grandkids come in, which I do, $20, $20. I don't agree with that. Charge the people who are making money on their business, have the other people come in for a lower.
Those guests should pay. They should pay.
Yeah.
No one has ever said anything about those guests not paying.
No.
What I'm saying is the property owner shouldn't be being penalized because he's still a property owner. He's still paying that assessment that everybody else is paying. He's paying for the house. I'm not, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure it's legal.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment. I think, if I'm a property owner and you're a property owner, and I don't care whether you live here or you don't live here, you are a property owner.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be fair and equitable to all property owners, not just segment out a piece there and a piece there. You've got to make one rule, and if you're a property owner, you're a property owner.
Right.
And if you have some guests stay in your property, that is just like me having my grandkids come.
Not if you're charging for it.
It doesn't make any
Yes,
difference.
it
You're a
does.
property owner.
They're a business. It's
To
not.
me, it makes no
Well-
sense
Well,
what we're
it-
trying to do.
And
Okay.
giving it away makes no sense to me.
I think that this board needs further discussion on these fees, particularly at the rec center. I think we can take care of the golf course. We need to go into executive session and get this moving, okay? Do I hear a second?
Make what
Second.
motion? I'm sorry. What's your motion?
We're going
Motion
into
to table it
executive
for
session
now.
to clear up
Thank
this
you.
other matters.